Welcome to Highclere Castle once more, and I'm here with my sister Georgie, because the topic is really the trade routes. But rather than talk about commerce and trade, we thought we'd talk about the works of art, the culture, the thoughts, the ideas that also made their way along the trade routes, and some of them ended up here at Highclere Castle.
Absolutely.
And one of perhaps the most extraordinary rooms to start with and to walk into is this saloon. And the most extraordinary feature is the Spanish leather wallpaper. Now, of course, Spain was originally influenced by the culture and the works of art and the architecture of the Moors. But this Spanish wallpaper is made from leather, and it's slightly later. It's from Cordoba from 1661. So it's probably relying a little bit more on the Christian traditions. But nevertheless, it's, what is that, how many hundreds of years old? 400 years old?
Quite old. It's quite
She's
old.
worse at maths than I am.
Yeah, don't test me on that. But it's so ornate, isn't it?
It was both covered with silver gilt to begin with, then it was painted, gilded, and embossed. So it really is quite extraordinary and exquisite. And this Spanish work of art has made its way up from the warm climes of southern Spain to the more northern climes of a castle here in England. So the trade routes were extraordinary in what they shared, and I hope they make us curious about visiting Spain. It's funny, isn't it? Because when you look around, there is so much to see, so many levels of detail and works of art. So this is about the silk, and there is many stories of the silk routes and Marco Polo and the trade from China, who dominated the silk world, to the west.
They say that apparently silk was discovered in China in like the 3rd millennium BC when a silk cocoon fell into the empress's teacup. Which I think is quite a nice story. It's probably not true, but...
No, I'm sure it is true.
Yeah.
And then I think they guarded the secret of how silk was made. So they definitely had a monopoly. And then from China, of course, the trade went west towards the area of Venice and Genoa, who again dominated the access to China along those silk routes.
Why is it called the Silk Route? I mean, it traded so many things, but why the Silk Route? Do you know?
That's, I think, because of a German traveller, I think it was called von Richthofen, who in the 19th century coined the name Seidestraßen. So that's why we still call it the Silk Route. Yeah. But it was silk and it was spices. They traded.
It was spices as well.
There were so many spices coming up from Africa, the black pepper and the Zanzibar, the spice island, all again up through the Eastern Mediterranean.
Yeah.
So from Venice and the Adriatic. And I've sailed down there with Viking.
Amazing.
And Venice is extraordinary. Now, the Malatesta family, from whom these silk embroideries were bought, were on the Adriatic side of Italy. So again, that feeds back into Genoa and Venice. People didn't know what the animals actually looked like. Isn't that extraordinary? Because with television today, we know what a monkey or other animals look like. And this must have been so wonderful, because on your walls you had pictures of these strange and exotic animals.
I know, and then there's a little cute dog in the middle.
Dogs follow us everywhere, don't they? I wonder if the red was much stronger, if these are actually quite faded now, and the colours would have been much richer and more in your face. It's the question then again of how much you restore or don't restore something, and how faded or not it is, or whether you admire it for what it is.
Yeah, I think as a sort of purist and as someone who loves ancient things, that the way time treats an object is sort of part of its history. So in a sense, the fading of it can make it more beautiful. I think there's sort of links into Japanese culture where, the broken vessel they repair with gold so that the repair itself becomes beautiful, which I think is a kind of amazing concept.
Absolutely lovely. It's a wonderful concept, isn't it?
Yeah, but all these ideas that get fed through to us, they come often through objects, don't they? Through art.
Well, that's what could travel, as an idea travels sort of almost in the paintings of an object.
Yeah.
And religion also followed all the trade routes, which both went overland and, of course, round the sea and then, in the time of Christopher Columbus, who sailed to find the East Indies, but sailed west and found the Americas.
Exactly.
something different. So that I think the centre of trade and the trade routes moved from Venice and Genoa towards Northern Europe and particularly Britain, which then added the word great in the 19th century at the centre of a trading empire and many of the trade routes.
Quite right.
But we're all Vikings, and you and I are probably quite Viking.
We are, I think we probably are quite Viking if we're honest with ourselves. But that's also, I think, so interesting about the Vikings is that they were so outward looking as a culture. So this idea that they would, I mean, I think even the word Viking comes from a sort of verb of exploration.
To go Viking, to be
curious.
curious.
To go Viking, exactly. So I think it's like quite a special characteristic about the Vikings.
Which is unique, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that as well, we have actually found a Viking brooch here at Highclere.
No kidding.
And that is rather special.
Can I see it?
Yeah, I'm going to definitely go and find it for you. Paul Mack is bringing it to me.
Amazing.
So we'll go and get that. I think this is a nice light place to see what we found.
Look at that. It's so cool. May I?
Yes. So I think brooch is possibly the wrong word.
Yeah, I mean, it's got 4, perforations for attaching to something. So I'd probably call it...
Well, to a garment, so it's...
an attachment.
An attachment, that doesn't sound very
technical.
Technical, does it? But it could be silver. What do you think? Because
I think it
tarnished.
is silver. It's just that silver tarnishes to this...
beautiful colour.
Dark grey, kind
Yes.
of quite matte grey.
And it looks like it's got 2 dragons at some point looking over their shoulders.
Yeah, which is... They're sort of fantastic beasts, aren't they, really? Which is...
And I think the Vikings were very keen on the silver trade. Silver was just such a much admired resource.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Whenever you go to museums and stuff, you just see so much Viking silver. Everything's in silver. And it was their main unit of currency. I mean, they didn't have coinage. But what they do is they would melt down coins from, the Middle East, dirhams, and they would... make them into ingots, and that would be their main unit of currency. And that's because it was so readily available, I guess, more so than gold.
Although, funny enough, in contrast, in Egypt, gold was more readily available. But again, the silver was so much admired. So
Was
on the
highly
back of
valued.
Tutankhamun's chair, the one with Ankesenem Tutankhamun and the rays of the art, and what you're drawn to is the silver on the gold.
Absolutely right.
Which is magic.
Completely agree.
So it was much coveted then, wasn't it?
It was.
But it's interesting, isn't it? It's rather beautiful. And the care with which it was done, you can sort of see in the light here a little bit. So there we go. It proves that the Vikings were here and they're back again. Well, in us and Viking cruises, so it's great. Downstairs in the cellars of Highclere, you do not find Mrs. Patmore's kitchen. You find, of course, our Egyptian exhibition. And Georgie and I have come in search of lapis lazuli, which was an extraordinary and much admired mineral, a rock, a semi-precious gem, which was much loved in antiquity. And again, here you have in front of you a tiny piece of lapis lazuli, from which we get the word azul and azure and blue today. It was loved for its extraordinary colour, but it was very expensive. So we only have a tiny piece here, because most of it is faience. Have I said it right, Georgie?
It'll do. No, but obviously there's a ton of lapis in Tutankhamun's funerary mask. I mean, because that was so lavish and that was just totally over the top. So there was a ton of it there, but amazingly, there's one fragment of it here in the exhibition, which I think is really interesting because it is such a rare commodity. And it was an import into ancient Egypt from...
Afghanistan?
Correct.
Wonderful.
10
Got
points.
That bit right. 10 points,
to
10
you.
out of 10.
And so it would be kind of reserved for very highly prized details and used sparingly. But the interesting thing about faience, which is...
It's a sort of Is it a kind of a manufactured blue colour from sand and silicas and minerals and rock, which can easily be found, or something like that?
Ding, ding, ding. Correct.
Oh, 10 out of 10
Well,
ish.
well, because the colour comes when you fire it,
Yes.
and then the kind of intensity of the colour comes from that. So it kind of comes from inside out, if that makes any sense. Anyway, faience was used because it was more widely available, and
So these tiny little jewellery and little details here are all faience.
correct, and they have the same
Deposits, aren't they? They're foundations of temples. The lapis lazuli trade route therefore came from Afghanistan and round and down towards Egypt and I suppose the Middle East, and then I think lapis was much prized in Western Europe as well, and I think I'd like to see some of the works of art that were renowned in Russia and St. Petersburg.
I'm thinking like inlaid tables and stuff
Yes.
like that, you know, those amazing...
extraordinary. And in fact, we have an Italian inlaid table upstairs, and I suspect in there we'd find some lapis lazuli.
Yeah.
But we have quite a few things in faience here, and some beautiful, faience. Sorry, faience. Yeah.
Say it how you want. Say it how you want. There's no right or wrong way.
Which are really cute, and it's really lovely. What I love about the Egyptians is so many things that they made are so practical, although I'm not sure about the headrest. But anyway.
Doesn't look overly comfortable.
No.
But it's beautiful.
But it is beautiful. And other than that, their pots and their little saucers and the dishes, I sort of feel we could eat off today.
Well, I suppose a lot of them were made directly for funerary purposes, so they're never meant to be used, at least some of the ones that you have.
And then
here.
the Romans, of course, came and, at the time of Antony and Cleopatra, then acquired the whole of Egypt and its trade routes, and suddenly their trade routes and their treasures they could bring back to Rome just expanded so enormously. And then that treasure and those works of art gave them the money, I suppose, to expand their empire as well.
Totally, and such an interesting, I guess, cross-pollination of styles and cultures. You know, there's just that meeting of cultures, I suppose, especially with Cleopatra, who, of course, was married to Julius Caesar and had other famous lovers. But, you know, it's a kind of blending, which I think is really important, and what perhaps Viking is all about, is this blending of cultures and this...
understanding of other people.
Exactly.
Being curious.
Yeah.
Well, let's be curious and go and look at the faience over there.
Well said.
Georgie and I are in fact sitting in what was once the housekeeper's room. I suppose Mrs. Hughes' room in Downton Abbey, but now it's part of our tea room, and this is where we thought we'd share a few thoughts about the spice routes. Spice has been such an important part of all the trade routes around the globe, and of course they originally came from India and the Far East. So they were such novelties, and they must have made our food and several hundred years ago so much more exciting. They were treasured and really expensive. You could become very rich trading spices.
Is it true that houses were bought and sold with pepper, or is that just an urban myth?
I don't know, but I love it. But anyway, I think this is pepper. No, those are cloves. You must have got the pepper.
Oh, well,
I've got pepper here.
No, I'll take it.
So these are really attractive containers, but I just wanted to demonstrate. So this is pepper, which was... I use a lot of black pepper in cooking. I think it's a fantastic spice, very good for the digestion, and they have many herbal properties. Cinnamon, that's really good.
Let's just have a smell. Come on, it's got to be done.
It's amazing,
it smells
isn't
incredible.
it? My goodness. So you can put it obviously in stews or in puddings or in hot milk. And again, it had considered very much one of the herbs with healing properties. So this was now what's in plastic containers and very functional from the kitchen, were once immensely prized, and I hope we still do prize them. The cardamom, which is in our gin, the cloves here, which I love to use a lot. This is the cardamom, ground cinnamon here, and what have you got?
That's cinnamon as well.
And then I think we have got here some mixed spices, which are there, and some ground ginger. So what we take for granted today and buy off a supermarket shelf, these were once coveted, and they'd come in on the ships from lands far away to hugely improve our cooking and our health.
One of the essential pieces of kit you would need to go on the trade routes is probably a map, right? An atlas. So I guess that would be kind of your starting point, and perhaps a bit better than sat-nav. I confess I am way too reliant on sat-nav and have no idea anymore really how to read a map, which is sad.
I think they're absolutely beautiful. But it was the travel explanation from Marco Polo through to the time of the Vikings, through to the Middle Ages and Christendom, and Christopher Columbus, which actually produced these maps.
I know,
They
just
are
mapping.
stunning.
It was just a huge endeavour, such an incredible achievement in many ways.
And of course they thought the world was flat, so we now know it's round. I'm not sure we still understand it as much as we should, but travel and exploration is good. Now this is Lisbon, and I know that Viking have a very nice cruise going up here, looking at all the vineyards.
I would like
We would
to
like to
go
be
on
on
that
it.
cruise.
But actually, I tell you what I'd love to do with you is go to Egypt.
Yeah.
So shall we go to Egypt?
Yeah, we haven't seen the Grand Egyptian Museum, have we?
We
Which
should be going there.
is on the bucket list.
It is.
Um,
So many places to go. Places to see, people to see,
stuff to do.
stuff to do. Anyway, I hope that all of you will thoroughly enjoy travelling each year to new places to visit, and definitely go back to Egypt several times over. I love Egypt.
It's magic.
That's it.
Very special place.
Wonderful. Thank you, Georgie.
Thank you.
I'm going to put this back now.
Okay, do you know where it's going? Which shelf?
I do.